Hi, I'm Katie North, founder and CEO of North Financial Advisors. All of us suffer from self-doubt at one time or another. In fact, there's this concept called imposter syndrome, which I would argue all of us end up suffering from at some point in our lives, where we have this fear, innate fear that people might find out that we don't know as much as we think we know, or that things might fall apart at any given moment because we haven't done enough, we haven't achieved enough. And so one of the things that can be really comforting to know is that this kind of self-doubt, and specifically imposter syndrome, is not something that only you might be feeling. I feel it from time to time. I know my clients feel it from time to time. I know a lot of other people that I work with who are small business owners feel this from time to time. And so today I want to talk about some strategies that you might use to address the self-doubt and get you moving back towards achievement or success and homeostasis, as opposed to living in a kind of a fear-based mentality. So the first suggestion that I would say is gratitude is really, really powerful. Finding some time in your day to reflect on personally the things that you are grateful for can be a very, very powerful tool. And I really like writing for this. I'm a big fan of journaling. Writing on a piece of paper with a pen or pencil can be really powerful. It's just to start thinking about the things that today you're grateful for. And at first it might seem a little cheesy or hokey, and you might find that you've got like one little tiny thing that you're grateful for, like your cup of coffee. But I find that once I start, it's actually hard to stop, and those 2 or 3 initial items might balloon into a half a page worth of things that I'm grateful for, or even a full page of things that I'm grateful for. And it's just a really great way of working against these constant negative thoughts that might be swirling around our mind. The second technique that I've used with some really great success is what I call a weekly wins email. As a small business owner, things are gonna go wrong sometimes, right? Things are going to go haywire. Lines get crisscrossed, communication issues, right? But it's really easy for us sometimes to forget about the good things. And I think part of the reason is because humans are sort of hardwired to remember the negative. We place much more emphasis on negative thoughts than positive, and studies show that it takes at least 3, if not 5, positive thoughts to undo one single negative thought. I think this dates back evolutionarily, so we could remember where the bear or the alligator lived to prevent us from getting eaten. We have this innate sense of fear that allows us to focus a lot more on negative things than finding the food or feeding our family for that day, right? Evolutionarily. So this weekly wins concept is really great for this because it gets you in the habit of remembering the things that went right during the week, the meeting that went well, the project that got done on time or under budget, the great feedback that you received from a client, right? Making note of all these little things, small and large wins that happen to you, can be a great way to combat this negative energy, the self-doubt that kind of pops into our brain from time to time. And that way, when something inevitably does go wrong, we have this sort of whole body of evidence to remember that, no, actually, just because this one thing went wrong, it doesn't mean that everything is ruined, right? We have all this whole thing, all of these things that went right. So the weekly wins email is great for that. The final thing I'll say is that it's really great to have a group of peers and people who are working on similar things to you to commiserate with, to talk with, to also help you work yourself out of a funk. Having a study group is a really great way to do this. And I like having a study group full of people who are your peers, people who do the same thing that you do, because you can learn a lot from people who have come before you or people who are on the same journey that you are. And I know sometimes there's a lot of fear that connecting with people who are your peers might be seen like it's competition, and so you don't want to share too much or get too close because they could be using the information against you. I would argue that for most of us who are service-based businesses, small businesses, trying to work one-on-one with our clients, that this should not be such a huge fear, because chances are you're going to specialize in a specific area, a specific type of client, a specific geography, right? And that's going to be very different from the approach and the concepts that your competitors might be. One way that you could address this potentially is just by choosing a study group of people who are around the country as opposed to in your specific area. That might be one option. But I have a couple of different study groups that I belong to, and the ones who are peer-based, the ones who do what I do, have been probably the most fruitful, more fruitful than the ones who are in other industries unrelated to mine. And I find that when I have self-doubts, a lot of times I feel safe enough to bring those up with the group, and I get feedback that, maybe this is not as bad as we thought, or maybe there's things that I can do or things that I've done in the past to get moving forward again. So it's really great to have that experience, to have both the internal reflection through some of these exercises like the weekly wins and the gratitude, but also the external reflection of being able to share with your peers as well.